Hi, you guys. Today I'm going to share with you how to make my famous caramel apples. I say famous, they're not really famous, but they have been around for over 20 years. I've been making these things. I used to sell them for like $10 a pop, and people would go crazy over them. They are insanely good, and I just found a way to make them in the microwave, you guys. So it is so simple to do. You won't believe it, and it's homemade caramel, the best of the best, and I'm here to show you how to do it. So let's get into it. Okay, the first thing you have to do when making caramel apple is wash your apples. They all come with a wax coating on them that makes them all shiny and pretty, and you have to remove that or your caramel is likely to slide right off the apples, and you don't want that. So I'm sticking my apples in previously boiling water. I just turned off the stove. So the water is really hot because I don't want to actually cook the apples, but I leave them in there for about 10 seconds each and then start removing them from the water and draining them on paper towels. And I'm going to take a paper towel and wipe them off completely. You can also use just a regular old cloth towel for this, but I find my towels get a little residue of wax if I do that, so I just like use paper towels. And you can use like one or two for the whole job, so you don't have to worry. Just make sure they're nice and dry before you do anything with your apples because you don't want that water getting into your caramel and messing it up. So now we have to put the sticks in. These are the sticks that I use. They're made by Wilton. I'll leave a link for that below. They are a little bit hard to get in, but just use some force and you'll get there. You can also use a hammer if you want to kind of hammer it in there, but I think with just force you can do it. Just don't let it go all the way through to the other side because then the juices from the apple will come out and you don't want that either. So once you have the apples all ready to go, we're going to make the caramel, but stick the apples on a baking sheet in the fridge. So we start with melted butter and add to that brown sugar. And of course, the amounts will always be linked in the recipe in the description box below the video. And to that, we're adding corn syrup, light corn syrup. You could use dark corn syrup. And by the way, you could use dark brown sugar if you want a darker caramel. This is maple syrup, just a little bit of maple syrup just to give it that different flavor. And then this is sweetened condensed milk. Now, I'm making only half a recipe because I wanted to show you how simple it is to do this in the microwave without needing a giant bowl. And this is my old Pampered Chef batter bowl that I have, the big one. And this is salt, by the way. We're going to hold off on the vanilla till the end. And you want to stir this up really well before you put it in the microwave. But you always want to make sure that, of course, your bowl is microwave safe. But more importantly than ever, you want to make sure your vessel is large enough because this is going to bubble up and it'll probably bubble up to twice its size. So think about that. Where it is now, it's going to be risen to double that. And you don't want a huge mess to clean up. So we're going to put this in the microwave for 2 minutes. And this is what it looks like when it comes out. It's just starting to bubble up. And we want to go ahead and give that a stir. And it's nowhere near being done, but it's slowly getting there. Now, if you had done this the normal way, my caramel, you would be standing on a stove, a hot stove, for at least 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, just standing there stirring continuously. And that's why I only make caramel apples once a year. So this now has been in there 2 more times for 2 minutes each, stirring between, and it is done, you guys. But just to be safe, to check and see, because everybody's microwave is different. Like the last batch I made, I had to go for an additional 1 minute and 30 seconds. But I've got my infrared thermometer here. It's registering at 240 239, which is perfect. You want it between 235 and 245. and that is the softball stage, and you are good to go. You can also use an instant read thermometer, or just go by the texture. Now, you don't want to put your finger in this because it is 240 degrees or so, but if you can tell that there are no sugar crystals present, it is good to go. So we let this sit and we come back to it, and when it's about 200 to 220, you can start dipping. But I did forget to add my vanilla, so make sure you add your vanilla right after it comes out. And even this is once it's cooled, and I'm going to show you how this vanilla makes it bubble up. And it's now bubbling up as if you just took it out. So just stir in that vanilla and you are ready to dip. This whole thing, this whole process took me about 7 minutes with the breaks of stirring to get to this point. And normally it would take me probably at least an hour. And that's just standing there at the stove. And you don't realize it. You think it doesn't take long when you say like 30 to 40 minutes, but it really is, just standing there doing nothing but stirring. Eventually it gets irritating. So now you dip your apples in, and I kind of wiggle them about just to get some of that excess caramel off. You can also use your spatula or the side. I don't like to get too much of the caramel off. In fact, sometimes what I'll do is flip them upside down and let the caramel run back on top. So there's maximal caramel coverage on every apple. And they are just divine, you guys. And I'm also, you'll notice I'm leaving some of the green showing, and that is because I'm going to completely cover some of these with white chocolate. And if you don't do that, the caramel will find its way out and it'll ooze out from the top, and it'll like break through the white chocolate at the top. So if you leave just a little bit of the green, the caramel will not ooze out from the top. So we'll just go through these fast, and I'm even two-fisting it. And then once you have those dipped, set them aside. You can also put them in the fridge, but I would take them out of the fridge at least 10 minutes before you go to dip them in your chocolate, white chocolate, or whatever you're using as a coating. So we just melt our white chocolate in the microwave, and the dark chocolate, or this might be like a milk chocolate. None of these are actually chocolates. They're like dipping wafers, and this is Merkin's brand. I'll leave a link for those below. So I'm dipping fully in the melted white chocolate, and it doesn't even matter what it looks like, because now I'm going to dip in my signature cinnamon sugar mixture that I've been making for, like I said, over 20 years. And I swear this was not out years and years and years ago. Nobody heard of a like apple pie, caramel apple, or cinnamon apple. And I was making this before anybody ever heard of it. So anyway, this is a mixture of brown sugar, cinnamon, and a little bit of white sugar just to, or granulated sugar, just to loosen that up a bit. This is my family's favorite apple, and everybody fights for these apples in my family. Everybody loves the apple pie apples. So I'm going to dip half of those, and the rest, now see how this white chocolate is not perfect? It doesn't even matter. The rest of these I'm going to dip in chocolate and then into different toppings. You can choose your toppings. I have some gluten-free Oreos here, or Oreo-like chocolate sandwich cookies, and I dipped them not all the way into the white chocolate, because I do want that green to show on the top, just for a difference. And then you just roll it around in your topping of choice. I have, these are crushed Oreos. I also have chopped up salted peanuts, which work really great with all the sweetness of everything else. And then I have some colored sprinkles, but you can take it to any level you want, your favorite candy, whatever. Just, of course, make sure it's gluten free. So as you can see, I'm not going all the way on the chocolate either because I want those rings to show. I want to see the green apple, the little bit of caramel poking through the white chocolate, and then the dark or milk chocolate. I think this is milk chocolate, even though it's not, like I said, real chocolate. It's dipping chocolate. So now I am dipping this into salted crushed peanuts. And this would probably be my second favorite if I were to pick. I like that salty sweet combo. You can use, there are so many options for this, you guys. Just the sky is the limit as long as it's gluten free, right? So now cutting into an apple, I prefer to cut them. This is how I do it because they're kind of hard to bite into, really. So cutting them and serving them, you could serve all these different apples cut up on a platter and serve this as dessert. And there you go. You've got dessert, and everybody will be talking about all the different flavors and how wonderful they are. So I just showed you how easy these are to make. You will not believe how easy they are to make, but you also won't believe how delicious these are. This is one of my favorite and my family's favorite things I make and I've made throughout my whole life. They just go crazy over these caramel apples. Look at these layers here and the tartness of the Granny Smith apple. In my opinion, it is the best apple to use for caramel apples because you have such sweetness going on top. Enjoy!